Woo!
Welcome back to JR Pro Shop Vids. Today we have Simoo back on the lanes and he is throwing the Columbia 300 Madness. Will we see some madness and rage from Simoo today? No, definitely not. But anyways, here in this Madness, it sports the HK22 cover stock and this is the ERT Pearl. This base cover stock has been coming out on all the recent Brunswick shiny balls and honestly, I'm a big fan of it. And on the inside, it's got the Crazy Core. It's gonna hook a lot out on the lanes, and for Simoo, that's what he always looks for in a bowling ball. So as you may notice, with this Columbia 300 bowling ball, we have two other ones from Columbia 300. We have the Cuda, which is Simoo's current benchmark ball. He loves it a lot, throws it on every single pattern, and it's very controllable for him on the lanes. And we also have one of his more recent bowling balls, the Columbia 300 Explosion. Now this bowling ball doesn't hook as much and it isn't at the same level performance as these high performance bowling balls, but it's weak, and for Simoo, he loves staying in the track area as far right, so when the lanes are still getting burnt up and getting dry, he can still throw this bowling ball and it looks really good. So what we're trying to figure out today is if Simoo needs all three of these bowling balls from Columbia 300 in his arsenal. Today we're bowling on carbon, 42 feet. It's our house shot here at Lucky 9. It's pretty easy, a lot of dry boards on the outside, a lot of oil in the middle, a lot of miss room. So Simoo should be able to strike from different parts of the lane with all three of these bowling balls. With all these new releases, so many new bowling balls coming out in 2023, make sure you don't fall behind and get yours as soon as possible. And you can do that by going to shop.boofabowling.com. Use code JungleBarks for 10% off your order. He's got shoes, balls, bags, accessories, anything you could ever need bowling related, and more. Enough talking here, let's go to Simoo with the madness.
Simoo back on the lanes. How's it going, everybody? Today I'm reviewing the Madness from Columbia 300. So it says on their website that the Madness here is supposed to complement their recent releases with the Cuda and the Explosion. Luckily for me, I got both of those, so let's throw all three and see what happens. Starting on our house shot. Good first ball, you could really tell being an asymmetric pearl, it gets down the lane super easy, makes that corner, but not super violent or uncontrollable. Got some interesting green and black swirls on this one. Not sure how I feel about it yet. Let's throw another one. Wow, okay, first miss of the day. Second shot in, that sounds about right. Missed her right, but this ball's got some bite to it. You get it to the friction a little bit early, a little bit right, especially on this house shot, and hooked back and struck, so can't complain like that. So what I'm really interested to see is how it plays against the Cuda here. So the Cuda right now, as you guys know, is my benchmark ball, sim solid. And yeah, I would say it's about the same performance level as the Madness. So let's see what happens. Woo! Not throwing it the best, but you know what? On the house shots, we take those every day. A little bit quick, a little bit right. But again, you get that level of forgiveness with these upper mid balls. I'm gonna throw a better one. Let's see what happens. That's a better one. You could tell being a sim solid, a lot smoother, very controllable. You don't get that same level of kind of violent reaction in the back end, but that's what I like to see when I have two different balls. I want to see two different reactions where I know they'll do different things. That's the reason why we have different bowling balls at the end of the day. Now we're moving on to the Explosion. If you haven't seen my Explosion review, please feel free to check it out. I think it'll be over there. The Explosion, you might remember, I didn't really love it out of box. It was a little bit too dull. I have about 3-4K on it right now, a bit of lane shine. I think it's its sweet spot. Again, we'll try to stay in the same kind of area, see what happens. So interesting one there. You could tell it was really reactive to the friction a little bit more than I thought it would be. But again, that's what you get with an asymmetric hybrid. I'm gonna move a couple boards left, try to get it into a better spot and hopefully strike. That's what I like to see. Made a good move. The ball definitely, you can get it a little bit deeper in that oil and it'll still get down relatively easily and not jump off that friction like we saw in the last shot. So let's go back to the Madness here. I want to see how it does on different parts of the lane. Gonna move about 5 left with my feet here. Wow. I really like that ball. I really like how forgiving it is down lane. You guys know me as a low-end player. When I miss it right, it gives me a lot of confidence to see that ball hook back. Gonna throw one more. Try to hit my mark properly this time, but can't complain with strikes. Definitely a better line than that last ball. You saw the ring 10. A little bit frustrating, but I'm not going to complain too much. Definitely, I'm really liking what I'm seeing earlier with that Madness. Moving back to the Cuda, going to go left. Definitely expecting a much smoother shape, not so much back-end reaction. So you can tell, you don't get that big snap, but that ball really gets to the oil really nicely. Very smooth, even when I miss right and come in a little bit light. I'm sensing a bit of a pattern. Gonna try to throw the second shot better and hopefully not leave a ring 10 this time. I'm gonna blame the rack. That was weird and I'm not sure how to talk about that one. So you can tell there, I got it a little bit inside and you could tell that it really rolled super early through that oil, and that's why I got a little bit of a weird hit, not enough energy going through the pins. All right, halfway through the vid, it's time for question time with Simoo. I got the Madness in my hand. We're filming this in March, the start of March Madness. So let me know down in the comments below, what college team do you rep and what sports are your favorite? Let me know down in the comments below. On with the video. Now, after seeing what happened with those last 2 shots, I think the Explosion will be the best of both worlds. So I actually really like that ball off my hand, but I think that kind of shows that it's a slight step below the Cuda and the Madness, where I could get away with that with the other 2 balls, maybe not so much with this one. Another good one here. Not sure how that doesn't fall over. I was a little quick, a little bit inside, but much better shot compared to the last one. I'm getting annoyed. It's time to strike. Throw a good one here, Sean. Ugly. But hey, I said I wanted to strike. I struck. Let's move on. Back with the Madness. Let's move 5 right of the original line. See how it looks playing straight. Moved right, got it in a relatively good spot. You could tell that this ball is strong and it really reacts hard to friction. You could tell because it's a pearl, it got down lane relatively smooth, but once it's all dry, it just went. So maybe not the best to be playing down and in with, but we'll try to make it work. Oh man, it is really difficult out there, especially when you play those dry boards to the outside. Really wants to turn and you're going through the face more often than not. Moving back to the Cuda, I think we'll be able to see a much better ball reaction, earlier, smoother. Still a little bit high, missed it a touch left, but you can tell that it's definitely smoother. You don't get that crazy hockey stick left turn that we saw with the Madness. I was lucky to not leave a split there, and that's really what you want to see with your earlier and stronger bowling balls. I don't know if any ball is going to be able to play that far right, but you know what? If you have a little bit more speed, a little bit less hand, take out a sim solid, play those outside boards, and you have a shot all day long. So now I'm really interested to see is what happens with the explosion. We saw earlier it was really reactive to friction, but also compared to the other two, it's a little bit weaker in terms of hook potential. So not sure, it could go super high, it could go nut flush. Let's see. Three really good bowling balls. They play really well from different parts of the lanes and really complement each other. Really happy with what I see with this madness. Let's throw one more, send it back to the shop. Back to the shop.
Finally back from bowling. I'm really happy what I saw from this madness here overall. I think that Columbia 300 has 3 releases here, at least the 3 that I have, that really complement each other and can play well on a variety of different oil patterns and houses. So starting with the madness here, again with 3 different bowling balls, we really wanted to see how they would look like on your average house shot. So we put out our house shot, which was 42-foot carbon, and I'm really glad to say that all these balls could strike from different areas and each of them had a really good distinct look. Starting with the madness here, I'm really surprised with how much this ball hooks. Being an asymmetric pearl, I knew that it would cover boards, but I didn't know just how many. I'm actually really happy to see that the madness and the Cuda actually are pretty similar in terms of overall boards hooked, but what I really liked was how I could see 2 very distinct motions with this ball. The Cuda, as you know, strong symmetrical solid, really smooth, early, and predictable. The madness here, being an asymmetric pearl, gets down the lane super easy, but when it sees friction, it really turns that corner hard, gives you that bit of a hockey shape, and hooks a lot through the pins. For me, being a lower rev bowler, I really like to see that even if I miss a couple boards right, that I still get lots of recovery from this, and I'm not leaving stuff like 2-8-10s or washouts. So when I first started throwing the ball, I like to stand in my happy spot. For me, that's my foot on 20, and aiming somewhere in between the 2nd and 3rd arrows. These 2 upper mid performance balls did a really good job of getting through the pocket, striking lots. I felt that I could throw these with ultra confidence. However, with the explosion here, we saw a little bit of what we saw with my past ball review. Being a smaller core, a little bit lower in terms of performance, this ball is meant to really snap off the friction. The first shot I threw, I really liked it off my hand, I really liked the line, but you saw it saw the friction and it went straight through the face. These bigger balls with bigger cores, they definitely do a better job rolling a little bit slower and a little bit more predictable. As I moved left, more into the oil, the house shot, all 3 of these balls looked really good. Again, the madness got down super early, hooked really hard, got through the pins well, really soothed my eye even when I missed it a little bit. Same thing with the Cuda. This thing gets through oil super well, rolls really early. I think I tripped a 2-8 somewhere in there. Again, with these 2, the overall amount of hook was pretty strong. I was still able to strike with the explosion, but maybe not as confident as I would like. And then when I moved to play the right part of the lane, right up the boards, these 2 hooked super hard when they saw friction. They both left a couple of 4-9s, went through the face. And then when I went to the explosion, this actually was the one that gave me the best look when I was further right. Being the weakest out of the 3, a little bit smaller core, it got down the lane a little bit further than these 2 and just got through the pins really nicely. Like I said, 3 very good complementary pieces. They all strike from different areas and they each give you a different look depending on where you need to play the lane. Overall, I'm very impressed with this madness here. I wasn't really sure what to expect going into it, but I liked how easy down lane it got and how hard it hooked in the back end, and definitely going to be a staple in my bag as an asymmetric pearl. I think Columbia did a really good job in terms of what they wanted to see from the madness. Again, the Cuda is my benchmark ball. It's really good to have a ball like the madness that hooks a couple feet later, but definitely covers just as many boards. As you guys know, bowling on a house shot, you can throw a variety of different lines with every different ball. As long as you get it somewhat close, pretty sure you're gonna strike. For me, if I was gonna bowl for score, I really liked how this madness looked. As a lower rev bowler, I really like to look for bowling balls that get down the lane relatively easy, but still have that good amount of back end. Just for me, just because I also have lower tilt, some balls really roll early on me and get kind of pukey down lane. This ball definitely gets the job done. So in conclusion, if you're a Columbia 300 fan, if you have the Cuda, have the explosion, have the top speed, I think that the madness is going to be a really good ball for you. March Madness started today. Quite a few upsets, although I'm sure there's probably going to be more upsets by the time you see this. Let me know down in the comments what team you're rooting for or what college team you support in general. Make sure to like, subscribe, become a member if you'd like, and we'll see you in the next video.
Whoa.